First of all, the purpose of this legislative forum is to provide an opportunity for the public to express their concerns and to offer input about what they would like the legislature to address in the 2014 session. And that session begins next Tuesday, January the 14th, and will last either probably till the end of April or middle of May, depending on what goes on. All right, at this time, I'd like to have Reverend Paul Lombard from the College Park Church of Christ to come and give the invocation. Reverend Lombard. It'll be fine. Thank you.
Would you bow your head, please? Dear God, we come before you tonight as we are standing on the verge of a brand new year with many uncertainties, many challenges facing us. We have many concerned people here tonight. We have many leaders who are searching and seeking for answers to our needs. And we know that we're not able to understand and make decisions on everything because we're fallible. But in your infallibility, I pray that you'd lead us and direct us and give our leaders wisdom and understanding that they might be a blessing to the citizens of this state. We're glad we can call upon you. You're a great God. You care for us. You're concerned with us. And I pray, God, that you would lead us by your Spirit, even as you led Joshua into the promised land by saying you've not passed this way before. Neither have we, but we have confidence and faith in you. Until the only wise God be glory and honor, dominion and power, both now and forever. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to have the posting of the colors by the Clemson High School Army Junior ROTC with Cadet Major Brent McCracken, Cadet Captain Noah Stapp, Cadet Sergeant First Class Marcos Gonzalez, and Cadet Staff Sergeant Lily Rise under the leadership of retired Colonel Courtney Taylor. So if we will, let's stand for and remain standing for the pledge. Thank you. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heard. Colored. Post. Colored. Thank you. You may be seated. Certainly like to thank the Clements High School Army Junior ROTC. Very impressive, always impressive ceremony when we post the colors and reminds us what a great country we live in. As a courtesy to all, let me ask that you please turn your cell phones, pagers, and other electronic devices off so that they'll not interrupt the meeting. We ask that you limit your input to matters that are state, county, and local issues, not federal issues. Unless a bill must satisfy federal requirements, and we pass a lot of bills that do that. We call them sometimes unfunded mandates from the federal government. And so that we'll have time for everyone who wishes to speak to have an opportunity to do so, please do not speak on an issue that's already been adequately addressed before. And we ask you to use good judgment on that. When you're called upon to speak, please go to one of the three mics. You see the one in the middle and one on either side. Go to those so that everyone, and speak into the mic so that everyone can hear you. And please start by stating the subject that you want to address right off the bat so that we know what the subject will be. Again, because of the number who have signed up, we ask that you limit it to 3 minutes. Legislators may comment on an issue if they like. However, the delegation will not be polled on any specific issues. And I think you see with the number of people who've signed up, if legislators started trying to respond, we'd be here all night. We'll try to respect your time and conclude the forum just as close to 9 o'clock as we can possibly do that. And if you wish to speak and have not signed up, please do so now. Let me say that we've got Becky Cotton with our delegation office over here, and we've got Gail Geis, who is with our legislative office, and they have the sign-up sheets over to the left. So, yeah. If you didn't hear her, she's saying that if you're immobile, you're handicapped, and do want to speak, that they can bring a mic to you. So, we do want to accommodate everyone here. All right. I think that takes care of the administrative details, so let's start. And by the way, if your name is mispronounced, it's because I have trouble reading it. So anyway, it's not your fault, I'm sure. Our first speaker speaking is Michael Polenti. Is that? And go ahead and pronounce your name because it is hard to read some of the writing here.
Okay. Michael
Mike,
Polenti,
go
I
ahead.
appreciate the time. As one of your employers, I appreciate this yearly event. I am a member of the Alabama Family Rights Association, a non-custodial families rights organization, and we've been here before. This past last year, Senator Stanford introduced a bill that I'll be talking about. In the Supreme Court of Alabama, in Ex parte ERG 73 ruled that despite Troxel, the state must have a compelling interest to justify encroaching on the fundamental right of a parent to decide what is in the best interest of his or her child, i.e. being a fit parent, fit grandparent. We look to the legislature to solidify that in law rather than the judicial system making rules and or precedent. Senator Stanford has a bill, SB 25, which is coming up for this legislative session. I urge you to support that fully and to get the rest of the legislature to pass that this year. It was in Christopher v. Christopher, October 2012, the Supreme Court essentially validated what Senator Stanford has written and in that bill. The other topic goes back to Amendment number 6 in 2012 that we voted on, and I'll read it, Alabama 1901, to prohibit any person, employer, or healthcare provider from being compelled to participate in any healthcare system. Now, does that include the state agencies, the local and so forth, or was that just strictly directed towards the federal system? The way I read it is that this applies to any governmental agency.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Tony Wright.
Hi. My name is Tony Wright. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Tony
Pull
Wright.
the mic down just a little bit so we can all hear you. Okay, thank you.
Sorry. My name is Tony Wright, and I live in Harvest, Alabama, and I'm not connected to any, I'm just a concerned citizen, not connected with any organization or group. But as you are well aware, we have seen the coldest temperatures in 20 years during the past few days. I have a neighbor who keeps several dogs outside 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, in a small chain link enclosure with only a tarp draped across the top for protection from the elements. There is no dog house, nothing to protect them from the wind, nothing insulating them from the ground, and the rain too. It's heartbreaking to see these dogs shivering as they struggle to survive. Animal abuse is a felony offense in Alabama, and I thought surely this has to constitute animal abuse. I contacted Madison County Animal Control and was shocked to discover that the ordinance in Madison County only requires a tarp across the top of an enclosure. The small chain link fence enclosure with the tarp draped across the top is compliant with the county ordinance. My neighbors called, we called to complain, and Animal Control came out, checked it, and as long as he has the tarp draped across the top, nothing could be done to him. Imagine standing outside with just an umbrella in this weather. Is that adequate shelter for us? Then why is it adequate for these poor dogs? So, as a concerned neighbor, I went and bought bales of hay and some Tyvek to wrap around the pens for these dogs, because the owner will not do that. The animal control officer did state that Huntsville and Madison have ordinances that require a dog house for any dog housed outside, meaning 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor to be raised off the ground. I am here tonight to request that you initiate the process to create an ordinance in Madison County that is similar to that in nature of Huntsville City and Madison City. I think you will find widespread support for such an ordinance, which I believe is long overdue. Such an ordinance may come too late for the dogs in my neighborhood, as they may freeze to death in this extreme weather. We owe it to the dogs in this county that have no other advocate for their well-being than those willing to take up the cause for them. Thank you. Oh, and one thing too.
Perfect timing.
There is statute or law, whatever, 13A-11-241. A person commits the crime of cruelty to a dog or cat in the second degree if he or she is in a cruel manner, overloads, overdrives, deprives of necessary sustenance or shelter. Now, a tarp, is that really just, I don't know. I would like to have the definition of shelter pretty much defined, because a tarp and a chain link fence is not shelter, because unnecessarily or cruelly beats, injures, mutilates, causes, anything. Well, I want shelter to be defined in our statutes for the state, or at least Madison County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me just back up. One thing I did forget to say is, first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming and looking over the sign-up sheet. There's a wide number of issues, so we will need to stay on time. And in my effort to stay on time, I forgot to introduce and let the legislators introduce themselves here. And I'll start. You may not be able to read the name, but I am State Representative Howard Sandiford. I have House District 20. Right now, that goes the eastern part of Huntsville and Madison, in eastern part of Huntsville up to Chapman School, all the way down to Montesano, and that way, starting after the election in 2014, my district will be south of Drake and east of Memorial Parkway primarily. But we did do redistricting, and all of the districts will change. We will pick up another legislator for this district, another House member for this district, and another senator, I believe, who will be part of the Madison County Delegation after the 2014 election. And I'll start with Phil Williams, and we'll come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. I'm Phil Williams. I represent the northwest side of the county, beginning at Bridge Street, Research Park, Monrovia, Providence, Tony, Harvest, Bobo, all the way up to the state line.
I'm Arthur Orr. I have the southwestern portion of the county, roughly Old Madison Pike, south Madison City, then comes on in to Huntsville. I've got South Parkway, everything west of the Parkway, the airport, southern part of the Arsenal, Martin Road, also being a northern line. We also have two Senate colleagues who are not with us. Clay Schofield has a lot of South Madison County. He is stranded in Pasadena, I understand, so could not be with us. God bless him and God bless Auburn, but couldn't be with us. And then Senator Shadrach McGill had pipes bursting in Jackson County, so he's home with his family tending to water leaks. So thank you.
I'm Representative Jim Patterson. I represent West Hazel Green, all of Meridianville, Riverton, Moores Mill, everything west of Shields Road, and then come across the mountain, have most of Chapman, the Five Points area, Blossomwood, and what I call the Randolph area, everything north of Drake Avenue, and up on Montesano Mountain. So my district changed quite a bit since 2010.
I'm Bill Holtzclaw, State Senator for Senate District 2. I have portions of Limestone County as well as in Madison County. In Madison County, the essential footprint is I never drop south of 565 and Jordan Lane 53, kind of going out towards the state line would be the eastern boundary, and then, of course, the western boundary being the Limestone County, Madison County line. I would encourage you, as Representative Sanford just pointed out, the redistricting effort, a lot of that all of it goes into play in this 2014 election year, and so it's going to change, and I encourage you to take the time to see if your district changed at all, because the House district's overlaid by the Senate district. There were significant changes, and so I encourage you to take the time to look at that now. Thank you.
I'm Paul. Excuse me. I'm Paul Sanford, State Senate District 7. Represent roughly 50% of all the residents in Madison County and the majority of Huntsville proper. The district is Airport Road, Hampton Cove, a little bit west of the Parkway down the Chaffee, all the way to the Tennessee state line.
Good evening. I'm State Representative Laura Hall. I represent House District 19. My district includes, if you look for boundaries, on the east side is Alabama A&M University, west side is Oakwood University, from Maston Lake down to Governor's Drive. Thank you for being here.
Hello, my name is Wayne Johnson. I'm Representative District 22. My district is the eastern part of Madison County and the western part of Jackson County. I go from the Alabama state line in Hazel Green to the Marshall County line in New Hope, and I also go over into Jackson County. And I just want to tell you, it's a privilege for me being here, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank y'all.
We have Representative Mike Ball, who was scheduled to be here, and reminded me that he had been at 12 straight legislative forums, but something came up that he could not be here tonight. And Representative Mac McCutcheon, I believe, got caught in that same bad weather out at Pasadena and is trying to get back in. So anyway, that's who's missing, and for that we apologize for those. I know they would want to be here, but the other thing I will tell you is that I was reminded that we are on television tonight, so if you need to primp or do anything or whatever, what you normally do for these meetings, you may want to know that it is being recorded by our television group here. So anyway, we're glad to have them do that for us, and understand it will be run on other occasions. So anyway, all right, with that, Reverend Jim Henderson, I believe you're next.
Thank you, sir. I am James Henderson, Executive Director of the Christian Coalition of Alabama. I thank you for allowing me to make a few remarks in support of legislation supporting family values. We thank you for your past support We believe in strong family values. We believe in limited government, low taxes, and we thank you for making Alabama one of the most competitive states for economic development that benefits our people and for helping make it a great place to live. As a minister, I thank you for passing SB 57. I thank you for helping pass the Alabama Accountability Act, and we hope that you'll be able to extend that $25 million limit to a larger number over time. We have 7 areas of general emphasis that we'd like to call to your attention respectfully. One is the area of spiritual matters, meaning in application religious freedom. We appreciate all the stand that you can take to help defend religious freedom, especially in light of some of the situation at the national level as we speak. Our second area is life, and that refers to the sanctity of life from conception to natural death. We believe the third area of family is critical. We believe the family, the acid test for all legislation is this: is it good for the family unit? We believe in education. We believe in local control of schools, and limited involvement at the federal level. Our fifth area is health. We believe in a free enterprise system as opposed to government involvement in health care. Concerning poverty, we believe in promoting positive values that benefit the family unit, help the family be sufficient, and that we would make note of the fact that broken homes are one of the prime causes of poverty in our state. We believe in economic development and the political process, of course, meaning strong competitive policies for economic growth and development, and strong ethics in government in every respect. We have 5 specific bills that we're supporting. One is the fetal pain bill, which would restrict all abortions after 20 weeks of development of the infant. Secondly, we would repeal Common Core. Third, we would restrict gambling in any way we can, with the next step we believe being to prohibit liquor licenses for gambling establishments. The fourth bill we propose is to enable homeschool parents to have full access to public school curricular resources, and 5, to restrict quotas on hiring for hiring for the purpose of social engineering. We have 49 days of prayer and fasting. We pray for you folks. We appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend. We need all the prayers we can get, so we appreciate that. All right, next, Chris Hobbs.
My name is Chris Hobbs. I live in Huntsville. A year ago, I stood here and presented this info, and you did nothing. These statistics come from you, the government. 50% of children will live in a home with only one parent. In 1960, 5% of the kids in Alabama were born to unmarried moms. In 1990, this number quadrupled to 20%. In 2012, this number increased to over 42% of Alabama kids being born to unmarried women. In 50 years now, almost 1 out of every 2 births in this state are to unmarried moms. Guess what the leading causes of kids starving, going to prison, committing suicide, murder, being on welfare, and being illiterate is? Kids born to unmarried women and children being denied rights to both parents. If any other social issue had these epidemic numbers, you would demand something to be done. But you don't really care about this issue. You really don't care about the kids. You ignored them last year and the years before that. You'll probably ignore this epidemic again this year. But I'll continue to inform you of this on behalf of the kids. 40% of children who do not live with their dads have no contact with them. The other 60% only see their dad about 69 days a year. That only equals about 3.5 years of the child's first 18 years. Children who grow up without their dads are 5 times more likely to live in poverty, 3 times more likely to fail in school, 3 times more likely to have emotional and mental problems, 3 times more likely to kill themselves. The main thing to predict crime in the neighborhood is the kids without their dads. 70% of children charged with murder grow up without their dads. 70% of long-term prisoners grew up without their dads. These legislators ignore this year after year, and it gets worse and worse. You, the taxpayer, pays for this and pays for them ignoring it. They can't lie and say they don't know, because we spent years warning them, asking them for help, and only for them to ignore our kids. These legislators talk about doing things to help your children, but they never speak of making sure that all children have God-given rights to both of their parents, regardless of the parent's marital status. They support a child having half their life ripped from them. A child cannot control their parent's marital status, but the current laws that these legislators support punish the child anyway. Protecting a child's God-given right to both parents gives the child the best chance to become a successful contributor to their families and their community. God gives a child 2 arms and 2 legs. He also gives them 2 parents. And none of you would support chopping off a child's arms, but these legislators continue to support laws that chop off one parent from that child's life, which harms the child well into adulthood and places a greater burden on you, the taxpayer. You may turn away from this state-sponsored child abuse, but you will never be able to say you did not know. Children need both parents. So I ask you, when will you stop ignoring this epidemic?
Thank you. Wish we could pass the magic wand and solve that problem, but unfortunately we can't. Next we have Gina Dalton. In case you're wondering, there are about 37 people who have signed up, to give you some idea of the issues that we'll be covering tonight.
I have reference material. What's the protocol for getting this to you guys?
Wait, I can't hear you. Speaking.
I have some reference material. What's the protocol for getting this to you guys? Do I just come bring it to you, or?
All right,
Becky will bring it up.
And by the way, if you do have handouts, please give it to our legislative staff, and they'll be glad to get it to us. All right.
Thank you
Go
very
ahead.
much. I'm here today to speak about Carly's Law, which is HB 104. My name is Gina Dalton, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak in front of you today. Like many of you, I was born and raised in North Alabama. I'm a 2004 graduate of UAH and work as a chemist for a NASA contractor. My extended family lives in North Alabama, as well as my husband's family, and in July 2012, we had our beautiful daughter, Charlotte. At 7 months old, Charlotte had a seizure requiring ambulance transportation to the emergency room. It lasted 30 minutes until doctors were able to bring it under control. I held my baby, shaking uncontrollably, and she was completely unresponsive. It was the most terrifying moment of my life, and I thought she was dying. Exactly 1 month later, she would have another even longer seizure and more intense. Once again, the ambulance rushed us to the emergency room, and Charlotte continued to seize for another 45 minutes. Her seizures became more frequent, and by 11 months old, she was diagnosed with a rare condition called DeVry syndrome. DeVry syndrome is a catastrophic form of epilepsy. Children with DeVry syndrome suffer repeated seizures of various types that come at an escalating frequency as the child grows older. The seizures and medication used to control this condition cause children's milestone development to slow and eventually pass over into regression. SUDEP, which is sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, is also a very real possibility for Charlotte. The treatment for epilepsy features various medications that are nearly as bad as the seizures that they're trying to prevent. The side effects are horrific. Some of them include inducing catatonic states, liver failure, and reducing or eliminating normal mental and emotional growth. In August 2013, CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, documented the first case of DeVry syndrome that was being treated with cannabidiol or CBD oil. CBD oil is administered orally, and the results have been amazing. Children who have been having 300 seizures a week have reduced them down to just 4 a month. They are starting to walk, talk, and resume normal functioning and caring for themselves. Since the first case, 93 families, including several from Alabama, have flocked to Colorado seeking CBD oil treatments for their children with intractable epilepsy. CBD oil is made from a type of genetically modified medical marijuana, which has only 0.76% THC, that's the psychoactive part, and 17% CBD. There's no side effects, and with an 85% success rate, there's no comparison. The DeVry Foundation recommends CBD oil as a treatment, And the National Cancer Institute says that only 1% THC will cause no euphoric effect. I can't sit by idly watching my child wither and die when there are medications that can help her. I'm not asking for the legalization of marijuana, whether medically or recreationally or in any other way. What I'm asking you to consider is CBD oil as a marijuana derivative and to consider it much in the same way that we use morphine, which is derived from opium. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Let me stop for just a moment and recognize our elected officials who are here with us. Not only is your legislative delegation hearing this, but I know we have members of the school board and the county commission. I see Phil Riddick from the county commission, David Blair from the school board. Are there other elected officials that I don't recognize that are here? Okay.
Mark Russell.
Mark Russell is back in the back. I know Mark was here a little bit earlier with us, so glad to have the other elected officials here with us and hearing some of the issues that the legislature is being asked to deal with. I had indicated earlier that we had about 39 people speaking. We have actually 45 at this stage. If you do still want to speak, go to the sign-up sheet. Okay, next we have Greg Gibbs.
And just real quick about Carly's Law, Representative Mike Ball is working on a bill for that, and I have offered to be the Senate sponsor of the bill. So,
all right, let me just say.
Thank you very much. My name is Gregory Allen Gibbs, and I'm a software engineer at Marshall Space Flight Center. This is my daughter, Gina Gibbs, and my granddaughter is Charlotte Dalton. Charlotte is 18 months old, and she has severe epilepsy, as Gina has said. Her current seizure medicine is not satisfactory for her treatment. I'm here to talk about the cost savings of Carly's Law, a epilepsy medicine, the cost savings for the state of Alabama. For instance, she had a myoclonic seizure yesterday and the day before. This is very bad. Her neurologist has recommended CBD oil for her treatment. That's her medical treatment. This is why I am here. I have no affiliation with any organizations. We need your support and each of you to encourage the other Alabama legislators to support Carly's Law. Another reason other than the extreme difficulties of this problem for my family is the cost to the state of Alabama. According to the CDC in 2011, epilepsy affects about 2 million people in the United States and accounts for $15.5 billion of direct costs for medical and indirect costs for lost of time and reduction of work and productivity each year. More than 1/3 of the people with epilepsy continue to have seizures. Children younger than age 2 and adults greater than 65 are particularly vulnerable to epilepsy, and 10% of Americans will experience a seizure during their lifetime, so this applies to all of us. About 3% will receive a diagnosis of epilepsy by age 80, so we may be voting for your own medicine. Approximately 30,000 Alabamians suffer from epilepsy at a cost of $250 million per year. $250 million paid by the residents of this great state. Much of the expenses incurred by the state of Alabama for disability medical payments. Carly's Law has the potential of significantly reducing the cost of epilepsy for the state of Alabama. Charlotte's neurologist recommended CBD oil for her because of the overwhelming success of other patients. Carly's Law requires no funding. $0 is the cost, but the value added is reduced cost for disability medical costs for the state of Alabama, reduced cost for families, which Gina has had enormous medical expenses, insurance companies, and emergency medical services. But the most important is not calculable. My granddaughter. She deserves the chance to become a normal and productive citizen. The law currently prohibits her from obtaining medical treatments which she needs right now. She's 18 months old. Please support Carly's Law, and please ask your constituents to support this law. My family thanks you.
Thank you. Next, we have Melissa Terry, and then let me tell you that Laura Schultz, I believe, will be next. And so if you might just expedite your coming to the mic. And then after that, Bill Fuller.
Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Terry. I'm glad to be back this year. I'm talking about Alabama's Early Intervention Program.
Pull the mic down just a little bit. I'm not sure it's recording properly for
Okay. So I'm here to talk about Alabama's Early Intervention Program, which provides, infants through toddlers of 3 years of age, therapy at home with, all kinds of different developmental delays. So I am actually a parent of a child who is almost aged out of early intervention now. She's almost 3. She's the youngest. We have 3 boys, and she incurred a spinal cord injury when she was born. So, right away we were told that she would never walk, or be able to hold things, all of those things. We didn't know what to do. The boys had just taken off and done what kids do. Early intervention came in and really kind of guided us, and, we were able to calm down, gave us a way to train her at home on how to do simple things, hold a cup, hold her bottle, sit up. She couldn't do any of that at a year old even. Her coordinator was not just the therapist, but her coordinator was able to get us resources in the community, respite and outpatient therapists, different. So having these people come and kind of give us some sanity to this crazy time. I mean, I don't know if you can even imagine what that's like. It's just an invaluable resource, early intervention. So, like I said, she's almost aged out of it now. It's so fun. Being a parent of these special needs children it's kind of like a holiday every day because they learn something new that you didn't expect them to do. And it's always something wonderful. And the tools for doing that are these therapists that come into your home and teach you how to utilize your home resources to teach them how to do things. They learn better at home. They just do. So I just really wanted to push for when you guys are in session in Montgomery, please push for more funding for early intervention. It really is such an important program. And also, my girl that they said would not walk is now walking through parallel bars, unsupported, down and back. So it's just been wonderful. So thank you guys, and I'm sure I'll be back next year.
Thank you, Melissa. Next is Laura. Pronounce it correctly in the mic, please, ma'am.
Shirts, like what you wear. It's just spelled differently. My name is Laura Shirts. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist at United Cerebral Palsy of Huntsville. I've been able to work in the school system, outpatient therapy, children's hospital doing acute care, burn units, and even in higher education at UAB. However, I truly believe that the setting where I can have the greatest impact is through early intervention. I have been blessed to be at UCP Huntsville for almost 2 years now, doing early intervention. And it's unbelievable to see the story unfold with the families. You get the family, and they're in a time of denial or disbelief. If their child isn't meeting milestones or has just gotten a diagnosis, we help usher them through that. We help them get to a point of acceptance and then being proactive in how do we help their baby become the best that they can be. Birth to 3 is a wonderful time, not only because of the neuroplasticity that they have, their brain is able to adapt and make changes. However, during that time frame, as an EI therapist, we are in their home, and we are uniquely positioned to educate and empower those parents to make a difference in their child's life. Like Melissa said, we go into the homes. We can go into their daycare. I've even met families at restaurants and playgrounds. It's all about helping that family to function as a unit with their new normal, whatever it may be. Additionally, it emphasizes the fact that the parent is the expert on their child. No doctor, no therapist, no friend or grandparent knows that child better than the parent who spends all day with them. That is what we want to capitalize on through early intervention, and that is why we incorporate a teaching model to give them those strategies to help their child become the best that they can. So please look at those parent letters and those sweet little pictures that we gave you, and think about those families when you're in Montgomery, and be their heroes, and please vote to protect and increase our funding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Next, we have Bill Fuller. Bill needs a little more introduction. It's been my privilege to serve with Bill Fuller when he was in the House of Representatives, both as Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee and also Chairman of the Judiciary Committee. So, Bill, welcome to the Madison County Legislative Delegation Forum.
You are very kind and mighty nostalgic, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Distinguished members, I'm Bill Fuller with United Cerebral Palsy and the Alabama Disabilities Leadership Coalition. Just two quick statewide issues and points to share with all of you as you face probably the most challenging session in your public career so far. One, on the education budget. You've just heard two compelling presentations on the funding of early intervention. United Cerebral Palsy is a major provider of early intervention services statewide. The very modest $7 million or so in the Department of Rehabilitation Services in the education budget offers all of you, and any increase that you see fit to invest there, an incredible return on investment. Not only are these dollars transformational for these families, but across the lifetime, educational lifetime of these children, we save $7 for every dollar that you invest in early intervention as they progress through their educational experience. And so the Commissioner Boswell of the Department of Rehabilitation Services will have a presentation for you as you look at the budgets, requesting an increase for early intervention of $3 million. We've talked with the governor about that, and we leave all of that in your wisdom and in your discretion. On the general fund side, I think everybody on this panel, and certainly everybody here tonight, knows that the transfiguration of the Medicaid program is key to the future of the general fund. And the Medicaid structuring bill that passed last session that we strongly support, the Disabilities Leadership Coalition that you'll hear a little bit more about tonight, represents 27 disability groups across the state, about 350,000 citizens and their families. We are very blessed and honored to be noted in that bill as an advisory capacity to all of you on the Medicaid structuring issue. We're simply here tonight on behalf of the Disability Coalition, which includes UCP as a founder of that coalition, to be a resource to you as you wade deeper into the Medicaid restructuring issue. We are confident that the recent decision on the contractor that will assist the Medicaid agency is a wise move. Our concern and our outreach to you tonight is to be sure that all of that work recognizes the highly specialized skill level that our people in the disability communities need as Medicaid is reshaped and as you go forward with the general fund. Godspeed to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fuller. Glad to have you here. Next, we have Dr. Gary Edwards, and I've been sent a note from our delegation here. If someone's already spoken on this particular item, if you will, try to net out what you need to say, or we will be here much past 9 o'clock.
Good. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Gary Edwards. I'm director in Birmingham with my cohort Cheryl Smith, director here in Huntsville. Again, the Disability Leadership Coalition is here to help you and to support you in as the transformation of Medicaid. The other issue, second issue, is the employment of persons with disabilities. Unfortunately, there's like a 60% unemployment rate of people with disabilities. We're also here to assist you in those efforts as we transform not only Medicaid, but the employment of people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Edwards. All right, next we have Isaiah. Oh, yeah, okay, excuse me. All right, Representative Hall.
May I ask Mr. Fuller a question, please, relative to the contract, to the,
Bill Fuller?
yes.
Representative Fuller, will you go to the mic and answer a question here maybe for Representative Hall?
Honored, Sister Hall.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure I was clear that the bill that we passed, it creates the regional care organizations. You're saying now a contractor is helping us to identify or regulate. I'm not sure. Did I miss something in the bill?
I don't think you missed anything in the bill. Under the wise leadership of the Contract Review Committee and the General Fund leadership, the Medicaid agency is put in place a management contract with the Navigant Corporation of Chicago, which will assist the agency and the legislature in writing the regulations and structure of the new regional care organizations that serve certain sections of the state, and theoretically, and we all hope and pray, will not only deliver more quality care, but extract savings as well for the programs. But that is a new contract that is in place and is well overseen by contract review, and that's well within the authority of the Commissioner of Medicaid as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, we have Isaiah Ash, and then following that, Joe Carden, and then Susan Higgins.
Happy New Year.
Isaiah.
Excuse me. Happy New Year to everyone. My name is
Happy New
Isaiah
Year.
J. Ash. I represent the Alabama Citizen for Constitution Reform. Lately, we have looked at the Alabama Constitutional Revision Commission that has just completed its work in September, and they gave us several recommendations that they're going to send to the legislature, and I'm just going to zero in on at least three. One of the things that we were concerned with from the commission is the language in which they were going to put in to remove the racial language out of the Section 256. And this is what it says. This is what they have proposed. Quote, the legislature shall establish, organize, and maintain a system of public schools throughout the state for the benefit of children thereof, providing that nothing in this section shall provide a judicial right or obligation. The first part is great, but this last portion is similar to the Amendment 4, No Right to Education, which was rejected by the voters in 2012. The wording was approved by 9 to 7 votes. You will receive a dissenting opinion from some of the commissioner members in a private letter that tells you the reason why they oppose this type of language. This is the third time that we're going to have a racial language on the ballot. 1950, we had the Supreme Court give us the school desegregation. In May, it will be 60 years. Now it's going to be 10 years that we're going to be talking about a racial language to be removed from the state constitution. Normally, it takes 12 years to get things done in this state when you look at school desegregation. So we're going to have another 10 years to look at racial language. The second area that we want to talk about is the home rule. You know, we stand for home rule. And this is what the commission has decided to do. It's a watered-down version. It says that we're going to grant to counties a specific administrative powers to govern their day-to-day operations. They will not be able to act on land regulations, eminent domain, gambling, zoning, taxes, and salaries of elected employees. That's what we want, home rule. We're one of the few states in the Southeast that do not have home rule. Another issue that the commissioner has taken is that we want to remove all the, we want to expand the local bills. In other words, they want to eliminate they want to make sure that they want the local bills will not be determined by one legislator. They want to have 9 House members and 3 senators to expand so they won't be on the statewide vote, on the statewide ballot. And that's the problem. That's why we have such a cumbersome on our on our ballots on the Constitution, so many amendments. We got 850, pushing 900. So they want to eliminate so many of these amendments that is unnecessary. And I hope that you will look at all these recommendations that the commission is going to outline, that we can have a better operation of state government.
Okay, we understand the amendment, so if you can, we'll go ahead and wind it up.
Okay, I'm waiting for the light. That's what
It went off. It's already gone off about a minute ago.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next, Joe Carden.
I'm Joe Carden from Huntsville. I'm here tonight to talk about payday lending again. This is my third consecutive year, and if I come back many more times, I may have to change my name to Mr. Jackie Reed. I'm representing Alabama Rise and groups, local groups that are working very hard to affect change in this important issue of the exorbitant interest rates that are being charged by payday lenders in our state. This industry apparently has more money than God because of the money they pass out when legislation is being considered in the different states. We certainly can't compete with that, and our only hope is for your consciousness to get something done at the state level. I think we all agree these lenders charge extremely excessive charges for their loans. APRs, annual percentage rates, exceeding 450%. The only exceptions are loans to the military at 36% set by federal regulations. We, all of us, need to insist on responsible maximum APRs for this group of lenders in Alabama. I gave each of you a sheet up there that shows, and if you'll take a quick look at that, you'll see how discouraging it really is. Credit card APRs can run as high as 85% annually. Loans under the Small Loan Act, their APR is like 33%. Payday lenders, 456.25%. And if you look at the chart, if you take an example of a $300 loan, they can charge up to $17.50 per hundred, and that's $52.50 if my math's correct, and that's for only 2 weeks. If they renew the loan for an additional 2 weeks, it's another $52.50. So that's $105, which makes up a huge rate to be charged on a small loan like that. And certainly the people that go to these places or use these places are probably the least likely ones that can afford to pay that exorbitant rate. In closing, I just would like to remind you of a Bible verse that speaks to this injustice. It's Matthew 21:12-13. And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all those who were buying and selling in the temple, overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those selling doves. And he said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a robber's den." So I believe these folks are robbers, and we need to do something about it at state level. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I see that you have a few supporters in the audience who are holding this up for the... And just a comment, we met prior with the mayor and some of the councilmen, and the League of Municipalities, I believe, it may be taking a position on this, and the city and everyone is supporting this, so.
Senator Orr and Gators already got a lot of stuff going on too. So
Okay.
hopefully, last year we had a very good chance of making this thing, passing this thing.
All right, thank you, Joe. Next, Susan Higgins. And behind Susan Higgins will be Cleet.
My name is Susan Higgins.
All right.
January has been declared Gifted Education Month in the state of Alabama. I am the parent of 2 gifted students in the Huntsville City School System and one of the organizers of the newly formed North Alabama Association for Gifted Children. Much attention has been paid recently to test scores, new standards, technology, and dramatically increased testing in our schools in an effort to bring all students to a minimum level of proficiency to make them college and career ready. All of that is important and critical to our success as a state and a nation. At the same time, however, we are ignoring the needs of our gifted students, and much time, well, students are reaching a minimum level of performance. Our gifted students are not even able to be challenged in their school and are often performing at a much higher level, but forced to stay in a classroom doing very, very repetitive work. An example of that is that my 4th grade son just took a 5th grade benchmark test and passed with a 98% average. He's now being advanced into 5th grade, but that is not something that routinely occurs in the state, even though it is state policy. The parents are never provided with information about the local education plans for education, local education plans for the gifted, or plans for acceleration, so that they have to find out about that through other people that they may or may not know to connect with, so that it takes them sometimes 2 or 3 years to find out that there are any alternatives to what their child is receiving in elementary school. And then once you complete 5th grade, all of the mandated programs stop. So in middle school and high school, the only alternative for gifted students is advanced placement classes, which meets some of the need, but not all of the need that our gifted students have. Most of the parents that I've talked to in the last 2 years who have gifted students either have, are considering, or have had children in counseling because of some of the issues that they face in the classroom, having to spend 7 or 8 hours a day with monotonous and repetitive work that doesn't challenge them or move them to a higher level of proficiency. Until recently, there's been a state mandate and no funding. In the last 2 years, you guys have actually provided funding, and we thank you for that, and we appreciate that. However, as usual, it's not enough, and Huntsville City Schools received $30,000, which is very difficult to have an impact with a school system the size of ours. We do need funding for increased training of classroom teachers and administrators, for greater use of our gifted teachers and our gifted specialists, and for additional programs to challenge the students K through 12. There are some things that we don't need any funding for. It would be greatly appreciated if you could mandate and require that school districts provide information about acceleration and educational options for their children when children are identified as being gifted. While this information is there, it's very, very difficult to access, and I, in fact, had to file a Freedom of Information Act request in a different school district.
Let me ask you to go ahead and wind it up fairly quickly then.
Yes. Say that again?
Go ahead, and your time has expired, so if you can, wrap it up, please, ma'am.
So, and there's also been a great increase in homeschooling and people pulling their kids out of the school system. And as an advocate for public education, I think that doesn't speak well to what we're doing for our students. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Cleet Weldy, okay, over here, to my right.
Yeah, hi, I'm Cleet Wetley. Alabama continually goes through cycles of budgetary proration because our 1901 Constitution mandates a regressive income tax code. Also, we allow out-of-state companies to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. In Alabama, we're not a poor state, but the wealthy and big corporations are allowed to exploit Alabama labor, and they don't pay their fair share of taxes. So we have to continue each year to cut necessary public services like veterans assistance offices and even the state's forensics labs. Some court cases now take years and years to resolve. So what does the legislature intend to do to fix Alabama's ongoing revenue problem?
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Fleming, and then John Nelson, and behind John will be George Barry.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Fleming, Chair of the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce's 2014 State Government Committee. There are other representatives from the Chamber who have joined me this evening in support of the Chamber's legislative agenda, which we shared with many of you in December, and I know Representative Johnson and Senator Sanford will get that to you electronically tomorrow. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and we also greatly appreciate your service to our community as a member of the Alabama Legislature. We know that this service comes at a significant personal sacrifice, and a healthy partnership with the state is critical to our region's continued success. So thank you, too, for advancing that partnership. The Chamber's agenda is focused on education and the development of our technological resources to help improve the region's economic development efforts. Our key issues include state support of our economic development efforts, education initiatives, thank you for your support of the Alabama College and Career Ready Standards, workforce development, infrastructure, higher education, and preparedness for the next round of BRAC. Your help with these measures will support our region's economic development efforts. We wish you a great start to the 2014 legislative session next week, and wanted to quickly remind you that the Chamber will make their annual trip in February on February 11th and 12th. We look forward to seeing you in Montgomery. Thank you again for your dedication to our community and your service.
We look forward to seeing you when you come down in Montgomery. I think it's a very profitable trip, an educational trip for all parties. Next, John Nelson.
I'm John Nelson. I want to speak to you about Medicaid expansion. And here's some information you should consider about Medicaid expansion.
Pull the mic a little bit closer. It's not coming in quite as...
Number one, over 300,000 low-income people would be covered with the Medicaid expansion. Number two, new Medicaid spending of $12.47 billion in Alabama over 7 years would generate $1.7 billion in additional tax revenue for the state and local governments. Number three, Medicaid expansion would result in a net gain in the Alabama state income of over $900 million. A study funded by the Alabama Hospital Association says Medicaid expansion will create 30,800 jobs over 7 years. Number five, Alabama thought it was worth $168,000 per job to attract Mercedes. Why is it not worth $25,000 a job to expand Medicaid? Number six, Alabama will lose federal spending of $1.67 billion in 2014 if we do not accept Medicaid expansion. Number seven, we have lost the first quarter federal spending of $417 million because the governor, his failure to accept Medicaid expansion. Number eight, the Medicaid expansion is funded in part by federal taxes paid by Alabama citizens. If we reject this money, we will be paying for Medicaid in the states that accept the expansion, and the low-income people in Alabama will suffer. Number nine, Medicaid expansion in Alabama is supported by the following organizations: Alabama Hospital Association, AARP of Alabama, Alabama Arise, Alabama Appleseed Center for Law and Justice, Alabama American Academy of Pediatrics, Alabama National MS Society, Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program, Alabama Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, Alabama Primary Health Care Association, Alabama Association of University Women, American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, AIDS Coalition, Family Voices of Alabama, National Alliances on Mental Illnesses in Alabama. Number 10, David Spillers, the head of the Huntsville Hospital System, said, quote, "You will see a lot of hospitals in Alabama who do not make it. I'm predicting that 30 hospitals in Alabama are at risk of not being hospitals." Quote close. How can we let our hospitals close? How can we turn our backs on 300,000 Alabama citizens who would be helped by Medicaid expansion? I urge you to educate yourself on the benefits of Medicaid expansion in Alabama. I urge the Senate and the House to pass a resolution in support of Medicaid expansion. We simply must find a way to change the governor's mind. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next we have George Berry, and behind that Kevin Cannon, and then Jamie. All right, George.
Thank you, Howard. Kevin will not be able to speak, so the next person after Kevin is welcome to come up. Howard here representing education, talk about education issue. Here to represent TMI. Also represent the Madison County Executive Committee who passed a resolution dealing with education, and representing Whitesburg Christian Academy. The issue we want to address is the issue that you punted on last year and would not address, and that is Common Core. So we're to ask that you this year do not punt, but you do address. I do commend you for passing legislation of the Alabama Accountability Act. You should be applauded for that, but no thanks to Common Core. We ask that this year that you would do your homework and you would come to the plate to address this issue. The reason we're asking you to represent the people of Alabama because you are elected to represent us. But we have a state school board member, and I want to ask Mike Parsons to pass out some information to you, a disc that I wish that you would look at, because we don't have the time allotted to go through all the details. But we have a state school board member who has stated publicly that she does not represent those who elected her in the state school board. She represents a board and private interest. We ask that the representatives who we elect represent the people of Alabama. I'm here to also represent the future of the children who have not even been born, the children of the future of the school systems in Alabama. That you address the issue because Common Core has been implemented. It has been proven, stated by Arnie Duncan, stated by Barack Obama, that it is the federal control of our public education system. We are Alabama. We can address our own public school system. We had good standards, and we need to continue to provide good standards. We do not need the federal government involvement. So we ask that you would come to the plate. You do not punt, but you do your homework, and that you address this issue. The word on the street is that the leaders of the Republican Party have decided this year that they will not, because it is a year of an election year, and it is too hot potato to address. It must be addressed. And we as parents who are the ones who are in charge of controlling our education, we're in charge of the education of our children, ask that you address it and look at the facts. We do not want Common Core. We want something better, and we ask that you come to the plate. Thank you very much. Kevin Cannon will not be presenting in a second.
Kevin Cannon is next.
And he won't be here. He just said so.
Oh, he's not here? Okay. Jamie, you're next, I guess.
Okay. I'm Jamie Murnick, and I live in Huntsville, right around 5 Points. I represent a lot of cyclists in the Tennessee Valley. There's over 300 members of the Spring City Cycling Club, and many women that call themselves the Rocket City Cycle Bells. I'm also on the City of Huntsville's Bicycle Advisory and Safety Committee, or the BASC, and that's advising and safety about bicycling, by the way. And I'm also the president of the Alabama Bicycle Coalition, or Alabike. So I really represent cyclists all over the state. But I'm here to speak to you, legislators, to let you know of a couple of events and of issues important to a lot of us who ride bicycles. First of all, the CNB Scene campaign is in full swing in the Huntsville area. The BASC wrote and was awarded a grant for a public awareness campaign funded by ALDOT and the City of Huntsville, aimed at drivers and cyclists to make everyone aware of the cyclists' rights and responsibilities. Have you seen the billboards? They just went up the past week. There's a website and Facebook page. And the message is, see bikes. See them as traffic. Change lanes. Prepare to brake. And to the cyclists, be seen. Wear bright lights, bright noticeable clothing at all times. We're trying to eliminate that excuse, I didn't see 'em, and make cycling safer. One CNB Seen campaign goal is to hold a North Alabama Bike Summit, and we're going to do that in Huntsville, and the Alabama Bicycle Coalition and the City of Huntsville are sponsoring it. It will be February 28th, and it'll be the February 27th through March 1st, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame here in Huntsville. It's open to everyone, but we really want planners, traffic engineers, police, and public officials to attend to learn about the benefits and how to create bicycle-friendly communities. That's the theme of the conference, and it's to create bicycle-friendly communities. We're trying to do that here in Huntsville, and all over the state. We'd like to see that happening. And finally, did you know that did you know that Alabike formed a committee this summer and wrote a 3-foot minimum passing law for Alabama? So it's SB 9, the Senate Bill 9, and hopefully there's a representative bill soon, and is sponsored by Senator Gerald Allen from Tuscaloosa and Gerald Dial. It's also supported by Representative Patricia Todd of Birmingham. As a cyclist, I've heard of and experienced too many close calls with vehicles. There are several hit from behind cycling fatalities and many more injured every year in Alabama. This law will bring attention to the rights of cyclists and the responsibility of all drivers to drive safely around bicycles. Hopefully it will reduce traffic fatalities of cyclists and make possible prosecution of unsafe drivers. I hope this bill will be supported and publicized widely. Can we count on all of the North Alabama legislature to support this bill too? All of our neighboring states, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida, have all passed laws similar, and please help Alabama join 22 other states that have passed a safe passing law that specifies a minimum of 3 feet when passing bicycles, and vote yes on SB 9. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Brenda Carr from the Alabama Space and Rocket Center, and behind her we have Chloe Rome. And let me just say that I noticed several of you have signed up to speak on midwives, so that you know we're less than half the way through on our list of about 45 people. So if you can be precise and net out what you want to say, we would appreciate it so that everyone has a chance to speak. Brenda?
Representative Sanford, I will be brief. I am Brenda Carr from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and I'm here to thank you for your support of education and for the informal education programs that we have at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. We believe we should be a resource to the teachers of this state because we are a state commission. For the past 3 years, on Martin Luther King weekend, we ask teachers to come to the Rocket Center free. Teachers can come free of charge, bring a guest. All they need to do is bring some kind of documentation to show that they are employed in education. So if there are any teachers in the room, or if any of you in the room know teachers, and I think we all do, please help us spread the word that January 18th, 19th, and 20th, the doors are open to teachers. On that Saturday, we will have a lot of workshops for teachers, and of course, Da Vinci is there. For those of you who are not teachers, I have coupons on the table, so you can get into the Rocket Center at a discount. Thank you for all you do for education.
Thank you, Brenda. And if we can get teachers going to the Space and Rocket Center, they will teach other students, hopefully, about the advantage of math, science, and space. So thank you very much, Brenda. Okay. Next, Chloe.
Yes, my name is Chloe Rom, and it's been 9 years since I first stood before you as a mother requesting legal midwives to attend home births in the state of Alabama. My 3 children were born at home with midwives in Alabama, Tennessee, and Hawaii. I left the field of engineering to invest 4 years in study and clinical internship to become a certified professional midwife, to ensure that the care given to me would be available to mothers in the future. For 3 years in Hawaii, I practiced my profession without harassment. Like Alabama, Hawaii does not yet offer licensure for CPMs, but unlike Alabama, Hawaii works with midwives instead of prosecuting them. Midwives collaborate with the Hawaii State Department of Health to ensure that newborns receive timely screenings and birth certificates are registered properly. Midwives make referrals to physicians and accompany their clients if hospital transfer is needed. Alabama women continue to birth at home for cultural, religious, personal, and financial reasons, and it is legal for them to do so. For years now, Alabama families have requested a licensing law for midwives, yet the legislature has failed to act. It's perfectly legal, mind you, for a taxi cab driver to deliver a baby on the side of the road. But Alabama chooses to spend money to prosecute nationally credentialed midwives who specialize in home birth. Families in Alabama want access to legal midwives, they want assurance of a midwife's credentials, and they want accountability for a midwife's actions. Only a licensing bill addresses every concern of lawmakers, public health officials, and midwives. It also provides the greatest degree of safety and accountability to mothers and babies. In the absence of a licensing law, there is a way to address some of the concerns of all stakeholder groups and to provide immediate relief to mothers giving birth at home today. You can pass a law which acknowledges a mother's right to choose the setting and care provider for her birth and to protect credentialed midwives from prosecution. Please make home birth safer in Alabama. Decriminalize midwives by voting for House Bill 67, sponsored by Representative Ball. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Chloe. Next will be Anna Bertone, and the same subject, but if you can maybe net it out, not repeat what she's in.
Good evening. My name is Anna Bertoni, and I am passionate about public health. I received my MPH in Chicago, and I've worked at county and state health departments and apprenticed for CDC. The midwifery issue has been around for some time now in Alabama, and by now you are probably aware that a growing minority of families would like the freedom to plan a birth outside of the hospital with a qualified professional. I gave birth to my daughter in a hospital, and I'm planning a hospital birth again for baby number 2 in June. Like me, most or all of you went to hospitals for your births and are satisfied with your choice. But why should my choice and your choice have to be imposed on every other family? In 2010, the European Court of Human Rights held that women are the ones with legal authority to make the decisions of childbirth, and that the state cannot use the force of law to take away their freedoms. I believe the same rights apply here in Alabama. The American Public Health Association passed a resolution calling for increased access to out-of-hospital maternity care services through state-regulated and nationally certified direct entry midwives. We're not talking about lay midwives. Certified professional midwives, or CPMs, are highly skilled and have met national standards for certification. The CPM is the only midwifery credential that requires experience in out-of-hospital settings. They serve low-risk clients and follow training protocols in the rare event of a hospital emergency transfer. Access to care is a serious issue in this state. CPMs could provide quality, affordable prenatal care during lengthy at-home visits with underserved women. The trusting relationships that CPMs build with their clients enables them to identify broad issues affecting the pregnancy, such as domestic violence and malnourishment, so that they can connect women to the appropriate resources. CPMs refer pregnancy complications to medical doctors and encourage their clients to seek the care that they need. Women will continue to choose to give birth in alternative settings regardless of government policy. Between 2005 and 2012, 1,448 women gave birth in-state without licensed midwives. They broke no laws by giving birth unsupported, but any skilled midwife would have been breaking the law had they assisted. We owe it to Alabama families to support their maternity care decisions by allowing them to be as safe as possible. Please help us make Alabama the 29th state where CPMs can legally practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Debbie Enslinger, then Regina Brewster.
I'm Debbie Esslinger, and I want to talk to you a minute about food security or insecurity in some cases. The North Alabama Food Bank is doing a very good job of helping people who need food, and so is Food Line, which is working with local food pantries within congregations of all of our different churches. However, there's some things that y'all can do, and I hope you would think about doing this, and it needs to be brought to the forefront. 2 quick things you can do and look at. It wouldn't be quick to do, but it's something that you can support, is take away the tax on groceries. that affects everybody in the state, but it affects those poor people more than it does those that have more money. The other thing is to abolish the lifelong ban on SNAP benefits that drug offenders face in Alabama. This is the only drug-related offenses are the only ones that are affected by this ban. 1/3 of all of the people incarcerated in Alabama are usually in for drug offenses. So we are talking about 1/3 of the population that is released does not have access to SNAP benefits because of this law. 70% of the women in Alabama who are incarcerated, 70% of the women have children that they are the ones, when they are released from prison, that they're responsible for feeding. So 2 things that y'all can do to change the systemic amount of food insecurity is to abolish the ban for this and then to cut the taxes on groceries. Thank you.
Thank you. Regina Brewster, and then after that, Piper Abston. Okay, go
Good
ahead,
evening.
Regina.
Good evening. I'm Regina Brewster, and I would like to share a story with you. This story is about 8-year-old Angel who lay peacefully in her bed asleep, but she was awakened by a body being thrown on top of her. This body immediately raised her nightgown, started to thrust his fingers and penis into her bottom for what seemed like hours. When he finished, he turned her face around and told her that if she tells anyone, she would be killed. Her family would be thrown out into the street, and her mother and her sister would not have anywhere to live. Now that I have your attention, I would like to call your attention to Aaron's Law. Aaron's Law was started by Aaron Marin, who is an adult child sexual abuse survivor. The law has been passed in Illinois along with 8 other states. The law is pending in 19 states, but Aaron's Law would require that all public schools implement a prevention-oriented child sexual abuse program that teaches students in pre-K through 5th grade age-appropriate techniques to recognize child sexual abuse and tell a trusted adult. Aaron's Law also provides for an alternative curriculum to be put in place, because sometimes we have problems with the budget, but the name of the law is Aaron's Law, and I'm glad to say that Representative Laura Hall has agreed to support the constituents of Alabama as far as getting this law passed. I have about a 30-minute presentation that I would gladly do to a group if you would like more information on Aaron's Law and child sexual abuse. But you can just think back recently, right here in Madison County, a young lady was being abused by a bus driver at a school here, and she heard a child sexual abuse presentation, and she came forward. Angel, the 8-year-old that I talked about, endured child abuse for 8 years until she got large enough that she could fight off the predator, which was her cousin, because her recently divorced mother and younger sister had moved into the house with her aunt because she could not, no longer afford to live on their own. 90% of the abusers or perpetrators are people that we know. Sexual child abuse is a silent epidemic. The family don't want to talk about it. If you think about the Penn State scandal, some of those parents still wanted that guy to remain at Penn State because of his reputation, because of his coaching skills or whatever it was he was doing. But sexual child abuse, physical child abuse, any type of abuse ruins a child's life. They have all kind of issues as they grow into adults. So I came here tonight to ask you all to support Aaron's Law once it's been placed into a bill and submitted. And if you want more information on it, I do have the cards I could even email you the PowerPoint, but it's really, really simple. And again, I'd like to thank Representative Hall for supporting us on this bill.
Okay, thank you, Regina. Appreciate that. We have Piper next, and then after that, Joanne Cummins. And Joanne is speaking on Medicaid expansion. If you feel that area has already been well covered by someone before you, you do not necessarily have to speak. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Pippa Abston. I'm a pediatrician in Huntsville, and it's nice to see you all again. I'm here to talk about hospital funding with the DISH payment cuts, but I do want to just quickly add my support as a pediatrician for the legalization of certified professional midwives. I would be very pleased to practice in collaboration with a certified nurse midwife. As you know, the Affordable Care Act requires DISH payments, disproportionate share hospital payments, to be dramatically cut over the next several years. DISH money is supposed to help hospitals which care for large numbers of uninsured patients. Hospitals are required by federal law to treat all unstable and emergency patients whether they can pay or not. They don't have the option not to incur those costs. The DISH fund cuts were intended to be offset by the Medicaid expansion, which we are not participating in. So we will be losing the money and have nothing to replace it. Alabama gets over $300 million a year in DISH payments, and most of this will be going away beginning in October 2015. We need to start planning now for other funding if we are going to avoid hospital closures. That is not something we should leave to a last-minute rush, and we almost had to have that ready for this fall. What is your working plan to help our local hospitals stay open and able to provide their current level of service and staffing when the DISH money goes away?
Thank you very much, Piper. Next we have, as I say, Joanne, and you're speaking on Medicaid expansion, so if you can.
Yeah.
cover
Okay,
what
I'm
is what-
talking a little bit more clarification on the jobs. I'm Joanne Cummings. I'm from Decatur. Senator Orrs represents me. I'm a volunteer navigator for the Federal Affordable Care Act Marketplace. Too often when I'm trying to enroll people for the affordable health care, I have to tell the working family that I'm working with that I'm sorry, you don't make enough money to get low-cost insurance in the marketplace. Your income is below poverty level. You would have gotten insurance under Medicaid through ACA, but our governor refuses to expand it, and you and 300,000 other people in Alabama won't get this care. And they are disappointed and just don't understand this. I agree with a lot of the stuff that the other gentleman said, so I won't get too far into that. I just wanted to say that when we have all this money going through the economy, it's basically $20 billion worth of economic activity in our state over a 7-year period caused by Medicaid expansion. It will be causing, it will cause 30,000 jobs to be created, both in the medical field and in other industries throughout the state as the money circulates through the economy. This is the same kind of justification that people use when they're trying to give away $200 or $500 million in tax incentives to bring a business here that'll give us 2,000 jobs. And the thing is that these jobs that are going to be created, we're going to generate sales tax revenue and they're going to generate income tax revenue. And the net profit to the budget over 7 years is $935 million. And it's going to go into, since I believe these funds go into the Educational Trust Fund, and if you're trying to find a way to help us get educational dollars, this is one way. I did an analysis for all the counties, but for Madison County, we would add about 14,000 patients to the Medicaid rolls. It would create 1,500 jobs at least, and would generate, in addition to the state tax revenue, $700,000 in local county and city taxes because of the people spending money on from sales taxes. So I would encourage you to support Medicaid expansion and do it before your primary so that Alabama citizens can get the jobs and the health care they need as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. Walt Hennessy is next, and then Susan Klingel, and then Dan Nally.
Thank you very much, and I hope you all enjoyed your holidays. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Spay Neuter Clinic of North Alabama. The North Alabama Spay Neuter Clinic is a 501c3 organization. That means it's a nonprofit organization, and it provides low-cost spay neuter services for pets whose caretakers live in North Alabama. Similar clinics, such as the Humane Alliance Clinic in North Carolina, have been instrumental in lowering the number of euthanasia in their community by as much as 80%. We've achieved 21% in Huntsville, Madison County. Since reopening, the clinic has provided more than 6,500 surgeries. The services are funded by very nominal surgical fees, tax-deductible donations, fundraisers, grants from various charities and individuals. Why do we need a spay-neuter clinic? The low-cost spay-neuter services provide benefits for individuals and families. Low-income areas are exactly where unwanted litters are dumped. Compassionate people in these areas adopt such animals and want to be responsible pet owners. Our clinic offers spay-neuter surgeries at a third of the cost of most private veterinary hospitals. At the time of surgery, we also provide rabies vaccinations and at a discount along with other needed vaccinations. The North Alabama Spay Neuter Clinic benefits our community. Unwanted, unaltered animals pose a danger to public safety, as stray animals can be hostile and often carry disease. The Center for Disease Control estimates that there are 4.5 million dog bite victims each year. In Madison County, there was 903 reported dog bites in just 2012. North Alabama Spay Neuter Clinic benefits taxpayers. The yearly cost to taxpayers to impound, shelter, euthanize, and dispose of homeless animals is about $2 billion. The estimate for here in Madison County is about $100 per animal. There are 4 nonprofit clinics in the state of Alabama, and as I mentioned, these are 501c3 organizations, and they exist to perform spay, neuter, and pre-surgical health care for animals. Once the procedure is done, now there was a bill introduced in the last session, and there was a lot of misunderstandings about it, but once the procedure is done, the owners are told to find a good veterinarian and use their services for the health care of that animal from that point forward. The spay-neuter clinics in Alabama want to exist for the low-cost procedures and nothing else. We're not in competition with any veterinarian services out there. That was one of the misunderstandings, excuse me, the last time. We can coexist with established practices. We would welcome any one of you to come by the clinic and see what we do. Just call the clinic, and I'd be more than happy to set up a opportunity for you to come in and see what they do. Thank you for having this forum, and I wish you the best of luck in this legislative session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Walter, and for the delegation, there's an excellent article, Jones Valley, that was written, and recommend you read that. I've read that, and it tells what's going on, updates you on what's going on. So thank you very much. Next, Susan Klingel.
Hi, I'm Susan Klingel from the ARC of Madison County, and the ARC is a program that, an advocacy organization for people with disabilities. If you don't know who we are, we've been in existence since 1952 in this city, and our grassroots effort ended up raising the money to place the first teacher for special education in the city schools. I'm here tonight to tell you that we have a great delegation when it comes to advocating for people with disabilities. Wish all the areas of the state had this kind of delegation, but I'm here to do just a simple reminder. We have an early intervention service at the ARG, just like UCP and the others, and 65 babies that we serve in this area. We also do employment services. Many of you seen the people at Publix that take out your groceries, or the people at Zaxby's who clean off the table. We also have a shredding and recycling program where we employ people with disabilities. So instead of receiving state funding later on, they're tax-paying citizens. So the money that you put in there is well worth it in the long run. I want to say also that, talk to you a little bit about providers. I'm here talking on behalf of over 120 DD providers in the state. And we are the providers that help close 4 institutions in this state. There are no institutions in this state for people with disabilities because of the providers. And during the time that we did that, we served them at even half or less than half of what that was costing the state. Well, as Arthur Orr has seen from our documentation, our rates are the rates that we've had since 1997. If you're trying to provide that with minimum wage increasing 3 times, gas going up, y'all have seen our vehicles all over the places we try to provide transportation services, health insurance increases. We've had providers across the state that have closed down. Many of you have advocated for us to get a 3% cut, and only a 3% cut since that time, our level of funding. And I know the state is in a lot of hurt and everybody has needs, but I want to tell you, you're going to see those people in this community that need the most having the least amount of service and the least amount of care because we can't afford to provide it anymore. So I want to encourage you as you go in this session to really think about those people in your community. And there are hundreds of employees providing services for people with disabilities in this city, that you don't just think about those other people out there who are needing, but those people who are the most in need. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Susan does a great job, and thank you for your service, Susan. Don Nally, and then after that, Hannah Evans and Cindy Barnum. All right,
Thank you,
Don.
distinguished members. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and I appreciate you serving in your positions. My name's Don Nally. I'm a CPA and a parent of 3 children that have attended the public schools in this community, and I currently serve as chair of the Education Committee for the local Huntsville Chamber of Commerce. This country has seen a steady decline in the quality of its K-12 education system over the past several decades. In the 50s, this country was the best in the world in both quality and low cost. Today, we rank 28th to 35th, depending on the particular study that you take a look at. And as I know that you know, Alabama has been ranked as one of the lowest in the United States during that same period. In the last 4 years, however, our state has made great strides in improving the quality of our K-12 education, including the passage of the Alabama Accountability Act and our state board adopting the Alabama College and Career Ready standards, which focus on higher standards of education. It's all about our kids and doing everything we can to give them the opportunity to excel in a worldwide competitive environment. I encourage you to continue to support every effort to elevate our educational standards and avoid any move to go backwards to what has not been working in this state. Higher standards will improve our kids' capabilities to excel in general and raise the economic boat of this community and this state. Companies want and need well-trained and highly educated team members, and they are attracted to communities that excel in their focus on improving education. Our state and local boards of education are doing everything they can to achieve this objective, and they need your support. Our local superintendents select the curriculum for our community, and I know firsthand that they support Alabama College and Career Ready and maintain full control of the text used to train our kids. Thanks for everything you've done, and I ask that you continue to support our educators and encourage you to continue that support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Just so that you know, several of us met with Dr. Lewinsky couple of meetings prior to this particular meeting, and the graduation rate has gone up over 15% in the last couple of years. So I think that's something that we can be proud of in education. I did not know that till the meeting today, but it's a tremendous progress, and I think certainly the Huntsville City School System is moving in the right direction. All right, next, Hannah Ellis, and then Cindy, and then Megan Carper.
Good evening. I'm Hannah Ellis, and I'm the president of Alabama Birth Coalition. You've already heard from a lot of moms who want midwives, and I'll be very brief. I'm asking you today about priorities and asking you to prioritize Alabama's home birth babies. My husband was a firefighter for some time. He was trained to attend emergency births. He watched a video. He practiced on a plastic mannequin. Now, the state of Alabama doesn't prosecute firefighters or EMTs or police officers or legislators who catch babies in a pinch. But
let's hope not.
It actively spends money to prosecute midwives with nationally certified credentials to deliver babies who have extensive experience. Now, understand last year, and this is supposed to be funny, that you had a difficult time passing the budget. Can we really afford as a state to continue to prosecute midwives? Now, families right now in Alabama are birthing in increasing numbers without any trained professional. Our phone used to ring saying, help me find a midwife. Now they know they can't find a midwife and they're birthing alone. It's time to make home birth safety a priority. I respectfully ask you this because I know that you had time to pass a bill increasing the size that beer bottles can be sold in. And I say that with all due respect. Please make home birth babies a priority to you all as the size of beer bottle. They deserve to be born into the hands of people who are trained, who have oxygen, neonatal resuscitation skills. They know how to do newborn screenings and assessments. For over 10 years, this is the 11th year, we have politely stood here and asked you, please license midwives. This year, I've gone to the table with medical folks. I've gone to the table with the midwives, and the midwives have made a big compromise. They've said, we're willing not to even be recognized with a license. Don't legitimize us with that. We'll be lower, we'll serve. But please decriminalize us. Please make us legal so we can serve Alabama's neediest families. I ask you to search your hearts because you're in power for such a time as this. I believe in your hearts that you want to make home birth safer and that you'll make home birth babies a priority this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, but there are more legislators in the Alabama legislators than sitting here. I think that certainly you've got a lot of support for your bill here. Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Branham. Thank you all for having this here. I'm glad to be able to bring my concerns to you again. I'm going to talk just a little bit about women's equal pay. The end of this month, the Lilly Ledbetter the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Law Act will have gone into effect 5 years ago, and you're going to hear a lot of hoopla about that in nationwide. 5 years ago. Since that time, though, because Lilly Ledbetter Act does not have anything to do with forcing people to give you equal pay or making it the right thing to do, that we still haven't done anything like that, nationally or statewide. Some states have done this. I would love to see Alabama do this, and here's why. When women don't make what men make for equal work, equal training, equal capability, we're not talking about something they should be given just because they're women. We're talking about equality here. When they don't get that, their families suffer. They suffer. If you're really serious about family values, when women have to struggle more to keep food on the table, to keep their kids clothed, to keep their houses heated, to keep their houses from going into foreclosure, to be able to afford housing in some cases. When that happens, we all suffer for that because the next step is government assistance. Through a woman's lifetime, right now I think a woman starts at a job at $1,000 less perhaps, and you all know the 77% thing that women only, on average, just on average, women make 77%, 77 cents on the dollar to what men make on average. One of the things that's not so good about all that is that once you do that, you started out $1,000 less. Within 5 years, they're up to $5,000 to $10,000 less per year, Every raise is less. I can give you lots and lots of statistics on that because American Association of University Women, which I'm a member of, has all that put together. They're part of the people who do those studies. What you really end up doing is these women end up making between $500,000 and $2.5 million less over their career. We live longer. Older women in poverty is much more common than it ever used to be. So that's why it's not good to do, because what they're doing is they're depending on the government. This is purely an economic thing, not just that it's not the right thing to do. So I would ask you to welcome any kind of or sponsor something with that. I'd be happy to work with somebody on that. That would help Alabama women, for the all things being equal, earn the same as the men in the same jobs. I also put on my little thing there I was going to talk about voting rights, and I'm only going to talk about that for about 10 seconds. I didn't say this first, but it should never be easier to buy a gun than it is to vote. And we're making it harder to vote than we are to buy a gun in our state. And we're also at the same time doing what I chided y'all about last year, and I apologize, but I'm going to do it again. Every time you pass something that's questionably unconstitutional, illegal, we spend millions of our dollars fighting those in the courts of law. I will bring up the immigration bill. We tend to do that in Alabama way, way too much. Get some good things done for us. I know you all have the right intentions, but vote against some of that crazy stuff, please. But thank you for the level-headed things that you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy. Megan, you're next, and then Dale Clem, and then Nancy Robertson.
Hi, my name's Megan Carper. I'm a citizen of Madison, and I'm here to talk to you about debtor protections in Alabama. I personally have been affected by debt. After college, the credit cards came a little too easy, and they spent just easier. However, when I lost a job, paying them off wasn't so easy. But those phone calls started, and the phone call said, hey, you got to pay this amount right now. Well, I didn't have it. I started just not paying attention to my phone. When it rang and I didn't know the number, I ignored it. A very good friend of mine one day finally asked me, and I burst into tears. I said, I can't do it. I don't know what to do. Luckily, he was able to help me through it, and he sat on the phone with me, and we called each of them, and we worked it out where I didn't have to go into bankruptcy. However, a lot of Alabamians are not so lucky. Those phone calls come, they don't have the money, and they can't pay it, especially when you're trying to make ends meet and help your family. So debt shouldn't ruin lives, and it does. We treat people in debt like criminals. But a lot of people are not as fortunate as me, and it does go to a judgment. Creditors get a hold of them, and there's our limits on what creditors can go after are extremely outdated. I think we haven't updated those statutes in 30 years. In Alabama, just as an example, there's two kinds of exemptions, a homestead exemption and a personal property exemptions. Homestead exemption helps the family to save their home, their vehicle, basic resources with which they can make a fresh start. If you don't have a car in Alabama with no public transportation, you can't get to a job to pay it back. So personal property exemptions are your vehicle, your paychecks, most of your household goods. For our household exemptions, your house, I think it's $10,000. Who in here owns a home less than $10,000? So they would have to give all that back to pay off a creditor. Does that make any sense? No. Our personal property exemptions, $3,000. What reliable car can you get to work for $3,000? Not possible. So we really limit the poor people of our state, or anybody, to be able to be productive members of society, pay off their debts, be responsible, and get to work and provide for their family. So what I'm here to ask you to do is, look at states around us, Mississippi, Florida, even Texas. Florida and Texas, they don't have a dollar cap. Now, we're not talking about rich people in their houses with, millions of dollars. We're talking about just everyday Alabamians who need their resources to get to work and to pay off that debt. So please think about that in this legislative session, and we appreciate all your service.
Thank you, Megan. Dale Clem and then Nancy Robertson.
I'm Reverend Dale Clem, pastor of Montesano United Methodist Church, and I'm honored to be able to speak with you today. Last year, I talked to you a little bit about payday lending, and I just want to thank you for all your support. I'm really proud of our Madison County legislators and senators who were leaders in that effort this last year. And people around the state have said, do you think it has a chance this year? And I said, of course, because my representatives in Madison County are bright. And they are passionate about making some changes. And I'm really proud of Tommy Battle and our city council as well. Today I want to say just a little bit about taking taxes off groceries. Poor people around the state pay a lot more for percentage-wise of their household income than our wealthier citizens. And so the tax on groceries really affects poor people a whole lot more than other folks. And so I would encourage you to figure out some way to take the tax off groceries. Alabama Rise has advocated that we get that it be a neutral funding issue, because we could take the in the state deduction on our federal income taxes. Only Iowa and Louisiana join us in having this deduction. If we get rid of that deduction, Alabama could join the other 47 states. How about that? And we could have this take the tax off our groceries. So I encourage you to do that. And have you ever had a preacher not take up all their time? But I'm going to end there.
Thank you, Reverend. And there have been proposed issues along those lines that when the economy grows about 1% or so, then they take 1% off the groceries. So there is some discussion on that issue. Nancy?
Good evening. My name is Nancy Robertson. I'm the executive director now at TARCOG. I want to start by thanking you for doing something last spring that has never been done before. By supporting Senator Orr's language in the Department of Senior Services section of the general fund budget, you made a historic first step toward more equity in funding for seniors in the North Alabama region. It caused the aging funding to be distributed in the state based on factors tied to where people actually live, and still has extra weight given to the actual numbers of rural, frail, and minority seniors. After a 4-year phase-in of this formula, the TARCOG region will still be in the lowest half of the state with regard to funding per senior, but the distribution won't be nearly so unfair. Even in this first year, we're going to be able to provide thousands more home-delivered meals to the frailest seniors than we did last year, and help 33 more caregivers with services in their homes, and provide more help to our councils on aging in all 5 counties. Although this is a tremendous help for the more populated areas of the state, like this region, the Mobile region, and a couple of others, this funding change didn't make the programs in the middle part of the state happy, where they're used to receiving this additional funding. In fact, they're busy meeting with their legislators right now to see if they can't get some of the funding back, or to hold back implementation for the remaining years of the phase-in. I'm here tonight to ask you to continue to support this funding adjustment when the budget comes out of the House, to continue its support in the Senate, so that the seniors in your region, your constituents, can have better access to the services they need. We all need your help to do this. And I want to thank again Senator Orr and Representative McCutcheon for their tremendous leadership in making last year happen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nancy. And Nancy is fairly new in that job, even though she's worked there many years before, and delighted that you're heading it up now. And can say that all of us have more seniors in our districts than we used to have before, so we're paying attention to the seniors in our district. So keep us apprised, Nancy. Thank you. Pat McKay and then Reggie Hill.
Good evening. My name is Pat McKay, and I'm the chair of the Huntsville Madison County Human Trafficking Task Force. Human trafficking is the human rights issue we face today. Although slavery was abolished in the United States in 1865, slavery still exists in our country, and yes, it exists here in Alabama. Sex trafficking of children is a brutal form of human trafficking and child sexual abuse. Experts estimate that as many as 300,000 children are at risk of exploitation and prostitution every year. Alabama's human trafficking law went into place on July 1, 2010. This law defines human trafficking as a Class A or B felony, outlines punishment for the crimes, and lists fines for those who violate the law. While prostitution of a child is a form of human trafficking under U.S. federal law, many states, including Alabama, still do not offer legal protections for minor victims. Often these victims are treated as criminals or delinquents, resulting in even more harm to the child. In the upcoming legislative session, the sponsor of the original state law, State Representative Jack Williams of Birmingham, will be reintroducing a bill that will add a safe harbor provision to the existing human trafficking law. And don't worry, we're not asking for money. Using model legislation, the Safe Harbor Act will prevent minor victims of sex trafficking from being prosecuted for prostitution. These children are victims, not criminals. It will also make it easier to prosecute traffickers, severely penalize child predators, and view the buyers of commercial sex acts with children as child sexual predators, and their acts punished as severely as other forms of child abuse. The bill will also provide child victims with specialized services to treat their trauma and help restore their dignity. In addition to the Safe Harbor Act, Representative Williams will also be introducing a resolution to form a statewide human trafficking task force that will work to make sure Alabama is armed, ready, and proactive in our fight against human trafficking. Human trafficking is a clear and present danger to Alabama and our local community. There are many cases that happen almost every day in Alabama that go unreported. Kids living on the streets and runaways who trade sex for food just to survive. Human trafficking crimes are heinous, traumatizing its victims and destroying their lives. The Huntsville-Madison County Human Trafficking Task Force members, including the National Children's Advocacy Center, Crisis Services of North Alabama, the Department of Human Resources, local law enforcement departments, and the FBI, have been working with Representative Williams to ensure our children will be adequately protected by this proposed law. Tonight, we are asking for your help. When you are asked to vote on the Human Trafficking Safe Harbor Bill and the resolution establishing a statewide task force, we humbly request that you vote yes to help protect Alabama's youth from human trafficking crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Next we have Reggie Hill, and then Chris Ellis, and then Gordon Rayner. All right, Reggie Hill. To my left, okay.
To our honorable state legislators and citizens of Madison County, good evening. Imagine that you were a child dreaming to become something different than what society intended for you to be. Imagine that you face unneeded daily circumstances simply because of your gender, age, or the color of your skin. Imagine that you had some of the strongest ambitions and abilities to change the world, but because your college degree, social status, and view towards the makeup of mankind doesn't fit into the persona of the elite, you are forced into an unwavering abyss of suffering, while your crusaders of power and fiscal control get by with manipulation and murder of all accounts. Education from the beginning of our nation's time has been the foundational tool used to propel innovative revolutions of progress in our society. Because of our state legislators, we have been forced to cope with an Alabama Accountability Act, which by far is the prelude to the destruction of public schools as we know it. Right here in Huntsville, we suffer Simply because our state legislators can't convince Governor Bentley to accept federal assistance that has been promised for years with our road issues here in this city. This same attitude has made it that much difficult for us and the less fortunate to obtain worthwhile health care and financial assistance. And now our state legislators have the audacity to minimize gun control regulations and dismiss the responsibility and accountability for our elected officials, particularly with our school board members. Sure enough, our violence and homicide rates will increase, while graduation and two-parent home rates plummet to all-time lows. Besides, because the standards accepted by this state legislation, our community is home to the most failing schools in the state of Alabama. Yet we are the only system which all students are fully equipped with laptops and new high-tech buildings. Do you find encouragement from what looks good on paper and from the outside looking in, or knowing that constituents from all areas are rotting day by day because of the inconveniences of our governmental restrictions? My questions are simply this. What will each of you do to advocate balance in our zoning districts, as we recognize 6 of our 7 congressional districts in the state are predominantly white? Next, what efforts will you make to ensure that the state will support funding for charitable and nonprofit organizations? For these are your crusaders of justice and equality throughout your state. What will you do to make more transparent actions between yourself and your constituents? This is not an annual thing that we get to see all of you in one particular place to listen to the concerns of the people you represent. And knowing that the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States was developed so that common citizens could protect themselves from ill-mannered militia, what are you doing to ensure that these gun regulations are protecting us? Or is there some law enforcement uprising that we need to be warned about? Public service is about the people, not about the person elected. Officiating is about what's just, not what easily can be achieved by position and power. Alabama is facing a time where we need leaders who are not afraid to challenge the racial issues of our ever-growing communities. We need leaders who are not afraid to stand against partisan ideological justifications for the sake of liberty and opportunity for all. We are in need of leaders who are consistently
Let me ask you to go ahead and wrap up fairly quickly
community.
if you can.
I'm wrapping it up now.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Only through experience will you learn the needs of our children, not behind a desk or some closed meeting. We are in need of leaders who are not afraid to take risk and invest in businesses that will prove amazingly lucrative for our state. I have prepared multiple solutions to improve education, minimize burglary, and bloodshed, vitalize the economy, and beautify the heart of the Dixie. I have provided documentation for each of you as well. Some of you have already received
Thank you very much.
God has indeed blessed each of us. Let us now use our abilities to bless God. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Reggie. Next, we have Chris Ellis and then Gordon McRainer, and we are, if you can, make them a little bit shorter. We are past the 9 o'clock, but we'd like to hear what everyone has to say. So, Chris Ellis. All right, to my right. Okay, Chris. And then Gordon.
Okay, Senators and Representatives, thank you for your time today. My name is Chris Ellis. I'm a system administrator who supports various Army programs that keep our country safe. I'm a father and I vote faithfully. I'm here to bring up an issue that has been on the deciding floor of Alabama's lawmakers for some 10 years. The subject of today is home birth in Alabama. Home birth in Alabama is legal for a mother to birth their child without supervision. However, that same birth is made illegal if a trained professional in the midwifery field is allowed to ensure the safety of the woman and child during home birth. This law needs to be amended to allow for a modern outlook and better choices. Most surrounding states all allow midwifery and legally supervised home births. I recommend taking the research from those surrounding states and apply the knowledge to your decision-making process. You will find that the cesarean rates are lower tremendously in the states that allow midwife-assisted home births. Professional midwives are also trained to know if a birth situation becomes an emergency and requires transport to a hospital for care. There are 2 choices for birth in Alabama. One is to be subjected to the best judgments of the doctor on call and hope that the decision is not based on convenience. Safety is important, but also very important is the mental health of the mother and the baby during the birth process. Many times the latter is left by the wayside in favor of a quick procedure or simply for the fact that doctors and nurses are not trained in a better way to proceed. The process becomes habitual for many hospitals, and they forget the bonding time needed by the mother and the child in the early moments right after birth. Recovery time and permanent scarring that occurs after receiving a cesarean section affects mothers for years after the birth experience and is yet done too often. Mothers are given birth plans by doctors. The plans, the plans are many times basically thrown out the window in favor of an epidural and C-section. In the end, the baby is safe, but the mother is many times traumatized. After these events, many mothers do not believe they can have a natural birth or that their bodies are capable of a natural birth given the right care and time. My brother and I had to transport our laboring wives to neighboring Tennessee just to have a natural home birth under the watchful care of a professionally trained midwife. The time is now to amend this archaic law in favor of the people versus keeping current law, which tends to benefit hospitals, budgets, and doctors. Give Alabama the choice to birth in a safe manner out of the hospital with midwives if they so choose. You have the power to change history in Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. You're right on time. All right, Gordon.
Thank you. I'm Gordon Rayner from Madison, Vietnam vet. One thing we need to do to pay for removing the taxes on groceries is decriminalize marijuana. Stop the insanity of incarcerating these people and take that money and put it to good use. You know, other states are selling them this stuff and making a tax on it, and we're throwing them in jail and wasting their money. Another thing is you change the way disabled vets pay their property tax. You know, that's not a very good thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Jackie Reed. And Jackie, if you could make sure you stay within the 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it.
Sure I do, after everybody else said, thank you, sir. I don't have time to talk to you. Thank you. That light's put up there just for me, so wipe it out.
And it works.
Yeah, it does. I want to thank you for your time and allowing the public to get involved in what you do in Montgomery. We got to keep up with you so we know what's going on. I want to thank Mr. Joe Carden for the compliment tonight. He can use my name anytime he wants to, and anybody else can in this city. That's a compliment. Duke, please try to help him, because being poor folks and trying to borrow money, go borrow some of it. Why don't you go borrow some of that money right there and see what they do to you? You know, look into that. He's been here 3 years with that. Stop it. Look into it and get on it. I think that's a good thing. Obamacare, I'm not going to ask you how many of you voted for it. It's a bad thing. Where I work, they can't work 40 hours. They get 28 hours now, and if they work more than 28 hours, the corporations have to pay for their insurance. So whoever put that in, that's a bad thing. I'm sorry about that.
It was not us. That was the federal government.
That's the state's legislators. Some of them still sitting up there, so I'm trying to hit them below the belt, okay? In case some of you want to take it on in Montgomery. I want to thank you for the educational system and supporting our children. They are our future. But you know what's happening? Brick buildings are going up with big fancy names, all of them, of elected officials. And the tuition, we're not worried about education. We keep upping the tuition. It's not about education. It's about money. These kids can't get an education where these big brick buildings keep going up. So make them put the money where it belongs. I think that's a good thing. Food stamps, they're being abused. They take those cards, they go out here, and they sell them. I know this for a fact. At a store, $800 food stamps, goes and sells it for $400, and then goes and buys methadone, $11 a day. So that's wrong. You need to look into the food stamp situation. I think that's a bad situation. And I hate to take this on tonight, but I've got a question about legalizing Carthy's Law or whatever that is here. I don't know what that's about. But if you're planning, no, wait just a minute, Mr. Sanford, till I get through.
Okay.
Please. I've
You
looked
have
it
the
over.
opportunity to
I've
wrap up
read
very
about
quickly,
I'll
Jackie.
hurry. I promise I'll hurry. I know, and I'm sad about the people that has the epilepsy children. I'm very sad in my heart. I really am. What you need to do is go after the pharmaceutical companies and stop this mess of this pricing our pills. I went to get blood pressure pills this week. I'm paying $600 a month for 3 insurance companies. My medicine was $178 a month. So, hey, we can't take care of everything for everybody. But I'm saying go after those pharmaceutical companies and stop this mess. There's where you need to be going after it and not quit giving all this health care away. Anyway, this Carthy's Law, I hear, maybe it is legalizing marijuana. I pray to God you don't ever legalize marijuana. I know people that's on it. We can walk the streets in Huntsville right now and drink all the alcohol we want. Brewing companies has come in. What's happening to this country? I know what you're fixing to tell me, Mr. Sanford. Somebody's going to raise marijuana, and they're going to take the oil out of it, supposedly, and make this medicine. Let the doctors prescribe the medicine. Who is going to do the checking of those plants when they grow them, and who's going to be in charge of all of that, and who's going to keep up with it? None of you all don't have time. All that is legalizing marijuana. I don't care any way you look at it, that's what it's going to come to. So put your oil in it, whatever you want to do. But if you legalize it, trust me, you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Jackie,
Let the doctors prescribe the morphine and whatever pills that the children need, and go after the pharmaceuticals. I love every one of you. I wish I had more time because I sure would like to say a whole lot more. Thank you.
Jackie, you be sure and take those pills and all. We need you here, so you stay in good health. All right, next we have Will Webb, still serving veterans. Will?
Yeah, and thank you, Jackie, for keeping things fired up this late at night. And thank you to our legislators for your great service, and particularly for taking care of veterans. I look forward to the honor of presenting to the Tennessee Valley Caucus as soon as you get back in session. I missed that last year, but this year Governor Bentley has an important initiative on Alabama Veterans Network that we need to discuss. Let me give you a quick update on still serving veterans. Since 2007, we have secured over $141 million in cumulative benefits, services, and salaries for Madison County clients. That's money brought home to our community. Nationally, we've been recognized as a center of excellence for wounded warriors and veteran reintegration. And recently, we've been selected as a pilot site for the National Points of Light Foundation Veteran Leader Corps initiative to integrate services for veterans in our community. So in 2013, we conducted over 5,487 one-on-one interviews of veterans with counseling sessions. We secured for them $9.6 million in new benefits and salaries, and we helped a record 173 Madison County veterans get new careers. Let me put that in perspective. After 12 years of a brutal terrorist war, the public system has been overwhelmed, and it requires community support. There are over 50,000 veterans have been injured critically in the global war on terror, and hundreds of thousands are suffering from post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. There are over 1 million veterans and their spouses unemployed. The highest number of those are young veterans. Those are veterans who went straight out of high school. Generally, that means 2 tours in combat, and they come back and need to be helped. Still serving veterans' contributions to our community, caring, knowledgeable one-on-one case management and advocacy with no cost to the veteran clients. Long-term career development, transition into meaningful new careers, expert assistance, getting VA and other benefits, and serving as a clearinghouse to bridge the gaps and connect the dots and refer clients to other great partner organizations in our community. Finally, our critical needs, particularly as we serve significantly more veterans and we serve them in more areas. Stable multi-year funding from discretionary accounts, we appreciate that, and an increased line item in the general fund. Proactive veteran-friendly hiring in our community. Y'all are helping us with that. Thank you. Assistance reaching veterans in needs. If the community can send them to still serving veterans, we will help them out. And optimize partnering and sponsorships and integration, which is kind of what we're trying to do for our community. One final thing would be new office space. We are serving more veterans and growing. We need about 6,000 square feet of office space because our current facility is in the blueprint for the expansion downtown. Bottom line, our hero veterans do noble things in treacherous places on our behalf. We owe them the best we can give them. We would like to thank them for their sacrifices on behalf of our country. No one does more with less than still serving veterans. Great return on investment for our Madison County. We need your financial support to help thousands of Madison County veterans be all they can be. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless our veterans.
Well, thank you for the job that you do in certainly helping the veterans. It's certainly a great job. Next, we have Clark Moore, Terry Michael, and then Amanda Andrews. And Clark, glad to have you here for our annual visit.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to visit with you. Some of you I don't see except once a year, and I appreciate that.
I believe you missed a year one time, but
well, it may have been a while back.
All right, but go ahead.
The hour's late. Thank you for your patience. I will be brief. My purpose in being here is to oppose home rule. Home rule allows the county governing body to impose unlimited taxes on the citizens of Madison County and to zone the property of rural Madison County. The citizens of Madison County don't need a bureaucrat to tell them how they can't use their real property for the highest and best use. The Alabama Legislature is the only entity that has the power to prevent the unbridled, heavy-handed forces that the Madison County Commission desires. Please don't abdicate this serious responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. And Clark, I believe you set a record. Thank you. You saved some time. All right. Terry and Amanda are both speaking on education, so if there's a chance for you to make sure you don't repeat. And then Brenda will be after that, and that'll wind us up.
All right, absolutely, sir. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Terry Michael. I'm an advocate for teachers and students. I'm a member of the Badass Teacher Association, 36,000 teachers strong across this country. I head up the Alabama chapter also. We have hundreds here in Alabama. I have a question. How many of the bills, policies, amendments brought to you concerning education are brought to you by an educator? How many brought to you have corporations that stand to make thousands of dollars from them? I am here asking that we put the focus back on education, real education, not this fabricated idea of failure, teachers, and tenure, testing, and data that has been sold to us. Let's look at the Accountability Act and choice and charters. Charters are the answer. Kids shouldn't be penalized by their zip codes. That's what's been sold to us. In truth, tell the kids in Hoover, at Bob Jones, at Grissom that charters are the answer. I'm not sure they would agree. Their schools aren't failing. That leads us to say the kids in the failing schools are punished by zip codes. I say no, the only choice here is a choice that legislators and administrators make that punish those kids in the high poverty zip codes by their refusal to recognize that poverty plays a role. Every failing school in Alabama is a high poverty school. Stop ignoring that fact. Start making choices as legislators that will give every child a quality public school in their zip code. Choices that will bring their parents permanent full-time jobs at wages that are above poverty levels. But most of all, listen to your educators before passing legislation that affects our students. In an effort to do this, I've started a new movement called the Underground Educators Network, because I feel that you guys do not hear the truth from teachers. So here is, I do have some letters here that I'm going to pass to you. I'm going to ask that she pass them around to you in just a moment. From one Huntsville teacher: thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for listening. Not just listening, but hearing. You see, teachers aren't being heard because they aren't talking. Ask yourself why teachers aren't talking about the most dynamic change in the American education system in history: Common Core. Common Core, a system of standards-based education reform, a system that promotes the over-testing of students as young as 5 years old, a system of high-stakes tests that is driving experienced, seasoned teachers out of the field at record numbers, a system that is causing frustration, tears, and anxiety in our youngest students, and a sense of failure among parents and teachers alike. A system that has as a reporting tool a standards-based report card that neither parents nor teachers really understand. A report card that teachers were provided a 30-minute training to grasp. A report card that cannot be entered into the current iNow system because it is not compatible. A report card that a single teacher had to develop because no one in the administration knew how to begin to tackle this disorganized, arbitrary grading system. An administration that refers to teachers as feedstock, an administration that operates a dual bias system with empowered and managed schools, an administration that distributes letters to certified, highly qualified, experienced teachers in underachieving, low socioeconomic schools, telling them that they are not effective teachers, an administration that publicly ridicules parents and teachers who dare to question. So why aren't teachers talking? Some are leaving the field. Most cannot risk losing their jobs. And yes, that is a real possibility. Teachers are pleasers. It is in our DNA to make things work. That's why we don't give up on children. Please don't mistake our implementation of Common Core standards with being advocates for Common Core. As I reflect on my 25 years in education, I'm concerned and disheartened at what Common Core is doing to the educational process and the effect it is having on this generation. That is, once again, a Huntsville school teacher. I will be gathering more letters, and as time goes on, you will be hearing more from the Underground Educators Networks, which is our teachers.
Thank you, Terry. Next, we have Amanda Andrews.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm here tonight as a parent who is very involved and very frustrated. I worked as a nurse, which was my passion, until I had children. They then became my passion. I wanted to be very involved in their education when they got there, thinking we would make many memories within the school, doing crafts, being helpful for the teachers, whatever I needed to do, I was going to be there to do. Well, not thinking I'd ever be here like this, advocating for my child's education. My kids are coming home every day, who was above grade level just last year. Now they are bringing home 2s, the new report card we're talking about. They don't even know what they're bringing home. But I know the 2 means they're not meeting their standards. So they were above standards less than a year ago. Now they're not even meeting their standards. There's something wrong with that. My son, we noticed in 1st grade something was not right. We went to the teachers, we went to the school, we got nodding in agreement of frustration, but they couldn't say anything. So we went ahead, we went to doctors, we said test him for anything, any learning disability. We went to private tutors, $400 a month. Nobody knew what was wrong. We were told he's a good boy. He's good at school. He never pulls a card. We have no problems. This was 1st grade. Be happy with him being average. We are in 3rd grade now, still fighting this same battle. He's too good to get extra help. He's a good boy. He's bringing home C's, D's, and F's, and they're saying, be happy with that. The 50 is progress. It was a 30. I've had to lower my standards at home for my kids just to keep their confidence high. And I have also had to start praising them for trying every day at school when they want nothing to do with it anymore. They hate reading now, and that was a passion from 18 months old. They want nothing to do with anything school related when they get home, yet we have 3 and 4 hours of homework because there's no time in school to do it because they are testing so much. I've popped in, they're testing. I've went to lunch to meet the kids, they're late to lunch because they're wrapping up their testing. Every day they come home, I say, how was your day? It was fine, Mom, we just did more testing. This is not okay. Common Core is not okay. Have a forum on Common Core and talk to the parents and talk to the teachers and let them speak. You won't like what you hear. For the ones who are doing well, thank God. But for the majority, it's not working. I'm an everyday person doing what I'm supposed to do, raising my kids to be good citizens, and you're failing them. They are defeated every day when they walk through my door. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Our last speaker is Brenda Farrelly. Is Brenda here? All right. If not, let me just wind up by saying I appreciate all of you all being here. Appreciate the comments that you have made. Appreciate your staying through all of it, and I think that hopefully you have heard some of the issues that we as legislators will be dealing with, and I think you can see there's plenty on the plate. If we could do all of these things, we would be miracle workers. But thank you for coming. We now adjourn.